Hello, my name is Keith Gaw. This is AJ025, Introduction to Homeland Security and Terrorism, Week 4 discussion. The question was, and what I did my research on was, should the media report acts of terrorism? And that's what I Googled. In Googling that, I found some interesting information. I found a website called rusi.org, rusi.org. There's an interesting article that I'm going to read from Jessica White where she takes three gentlemen's interviews about their thoughts on the positive and negative effects of media and terrorism. But what RUSI RUSI is a global think tank. It's a Royal United Service Institute. It's an independent think tank engaged in cutting edge defense and security research. So this group gets together and shares information and helps against the fight on terrorism. They have offices in Washington, London, Japan. There's many offices. So it's a very cool organization, if you ask me. In that, on that website, I found an article. Like I said, it's called "Terrorism and the Mass Media." And Jessica White interviewed three gentlemen. Let me read this to you real quick. Daniel Kohler states that journalists need to be aware that as soon as they step onto the process of reporting on terrorism, they are no longer neutral. While responsible reporting practices call for objectivity, there is always a certain degree of personal bias and shaping of the narrative which is impossible to avoid, putting journalists in the position to influence the effect and or impact of terrorism reporting. To maintain as much objectivity as possible, Yona Alexander and Richard Latter argue that the media need to avoid being manipulated by either terrorist or government propaganda. They state a fine line exists between ethical reporting practices, appropriate censorship, and competition for a good story. So if you can look at that website, it's a very cool website. So the question or the assignment is do I agree with the speaker? And yes, I do agree with the speaker. Should the media report acts of terrorism? Yes, but again, just like the speaker stated, they should be responsible and with restraint. And I believe very little as exposure as possible. Are there certain components of the acts that the media should not report? I believe for the United States, I think we should censor live video. I don't think we should show a live car chase on the news or something going down live because that can cause panic, as well as the terrorists can see everything that's going on and get that sort of winning attitude that they believe that they're conquering something. Is there a line to be drawn on what the media reports? And yes, just like I just said, it was the live feed. And if so, what is that line? I think when an event happens that we go back to the old school times of back when maybe in the 60s to the 80s where when an event happens, the media is held back from the building with yellow tape or held back from the spot that it happened with yellow tape. And they're given just a little bit of information. And we don't glorify any of these acts. So, and then the last question is should we censor anything? And that goes along with what I said about I think we should definitely censor what is being told to the public because all these will be have to be heard in the court of law, and I think once as little information is out there can judge those court decisions as well. So these are my thoughts, and thank you for listening.